Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic, healer, and yogi. In today's episode, my guest is Amy White. Amy is an international best-selling author, highly sought-after speaker, and intuitive medium on a mission to help individuals heal the past, discover personal truths, and thrive. Stay tuned for an uplifting episode. Welcome to the episode where my guest is Amy White, an international best-selling author and intuitive medium. Amy's one-to-one coaching, digital courses, and public talks allow audiences to gain a deeper understanding of the beliefs that are blocking their most authentic lives. Her insights and techniques help usher in big, bold changes and more subtle aha moments that lead us closer towards our dreams. Our once reluctant medium, Amy now embraces her innate intuitive gifts and has made it her intent to show up in the world as a truth teller by bringing forward powerful messages for personal transformation. Amy's work as a truth teller started several years ago after she stepped forward as a caregiver champion in support of her son amidst a mental health crisis. This was not just a journey to help her son through his crisis. It was a life-changing event which required a deep level of soul excavation, awareness, and willingness to face her shadow and have faith that there was something brighter on the other side within the chaos and pain. In 2016, Amy's book, Closer to Paradise, A Mother's Journey Through Crisis and Healing, was published by Motivational Press. In this book, Amy takes the reader along on a wild roller coaster ride of heartache and invaluable life lessons. Amy hopes this story of fighting stigma, navigating the mental health services maze, and focusing on her own emotional healing will provide a beacon of hope and light for those working to support a loved one or themselves on the path to wellness. As a Reiki master teacher, Amy uses universal energy for remote and in-person healing work with clients. She can speak to mediumship in the modern age. Amy's ability to share messages from those who have crossed over has created the space for her clients to access deep healing, inner peace, love, and forgiveness. Amy offers individuals life-changing skills for spiritual growth, self-development, and transformation amidst crisis. She is sought after for her experience with intuitive guidance and mediumship as a means to help people get unstuck in both their personal and professional lives. Besides being an intuitive coach and medium, Amy has spent more than 20 years working with both Fortune 100 companies and small to medium-sized businesses. In 2014, Amy co-authored the international bestseller Bold is Beautiful, Breakthrough to Business Strategies, sharing her story of leaving her career to pursue her dream of coaching and advocating for parents, caregivers, and those transiting through life's challenges and crises. It is an honor and pleasure to welcome my guest, Amy White. Hey, Amy.
Oh my goodness. Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so happy to have you here on Cosmic Scene. You have so many skill sets here. And what I really liked when I was looking at your website, how you describe yourself as an intuitive medium, a channel, and truth bomb dropper. Maybe you can explain
Yes.
the truth bomb dropper a little bit to my audience.
Absolutely. When I'm doing my own work, when I'm tuning into universal consciousness for my own practice, very often what they will bring through is these aha moments of things that I've recognized or I'm just beginning to recognize about myself that I feel are so powerful that I like to share them out with my audience on my social platforms. For example, I just wrote a truth bomb the other day about discomfort and whether discomfort is the indicator that you're out of alignment or that you're shifting into something that's more resonant for you. So they will bring through these aha moments that are so personal to me, but that I love to share out to the world as well.
Yeah, because chances are a lot of people are experiencing the same discomfort or the same thing. And here you are as what we would call the wounded healer teacher, the chironic healer are you're ahead of the curve. So you have to experience it first and then you share your experience to the public. And so many of them are dealing with the same thing. What
Uh,
you, that's the universal or the greater consciousness that you tap into.
that is greater consciousness, yes. And the greater consciousness is a group of energies that describe themselves as all of the wisdom that ever was, all of the wisdom that will ever be, and all of the wisdom that's here right now in this time and space in every living being. So, in essence, they are the connection into the infinite wisdom, but not just the infinite wisdom of the cosmos. They are connected to the infinite wisdom that resides within each one of us individually. And so when I'm working with the greater consciousness, when I'm channeling their wisdom through, whether for myself or for clients or audiences, they are really connecting into what we already know and just helping us to bring to the surface, sometimes words to feelings that we have or opening the door for possibilities or opportunities we haven't even yet considered. It's really powerful because it is that resonant connection to that deeper knowing that we each have. And when they bring this wisdom through, even when I'm working with clients, it hits, the heart center like a truth bomb. Right? That's where that truth bomb came from. They're like mic drop. And it's like boom. Wow, this is wisdom that is it's so palpable, it's so visceral because there's truth of knowing inside me even if I don't know it consciously.
I love that. And also, I'm sure they get that physical, palpable kundalini rising, or what I call spiritual confirmation by what the energy they're feeling in their body, or those spiritual goosebumps, right? When you're connecting into that high
Absolutely.
energy, they get the confirmation in their own bodies, which is a beautiful thing.
It, absolutely.
And so you're also a Reiki master teacher where you use this universal energy for remote and in person healing work, which you're just describing, and basically mirroring back to them the teaching that is available for them in their lives, kind
Yes.
of reflecting it back in a way that they can take it and run with it. And it also probably helps you tap into your mediumistic skills and how you work with your clients in that mediumistic way. It's all connected, right? But if you want to give us
It's yeah.
a little more kind of explanation of how the process works.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I didn't realize when I first started doing work as an intuitive, and I started in coaching, as an intuitive coach, was that I always assumed that the way that I was getting the information was that I was reading someone's energy. But I realized as I was working more and more in that realm that what I was doing in all of it, whether I called it intuitive coaching or channeling or mediumship or psychic work, was that I was connecting to this one source of information, this one source of conscious information. And that's the greater consciousness, which we just described. So when I'm doing any work, whether it's, as I said, whether it's connecting to the greater consciousness, the wisdom of the greater consciousness for on behalf of a client, or whether I'm connecting into a loved one or friend or somebody who's crossed over from the human experience to the non-physical, someone who's died, it's still the same type of connection. I still connect in through the greater consciousness energy as well as the energy of the soul who's crossed over if I'm doing mediumship work. So it's a little bit different, at least for me, I'll judge it a little bit different than what I had seen from other mediums in the past. And a lot of the reference points are pop culture or people on TV. And so as I started to really explore the mediumship work and connect to these souls that had crossed over, I realized that I kind of have this dual channel going. The greater consciousness is always in the connection. And then I actually dial up the soul, the non-physical, and connect in directly with that entity as well. So if I'm doing a reading with somebody who wants to connect to, as I said, a loved one who's passed, we would actually work the process by, calling that person in. So there isn't a lot of game playing that happens.
Right.
I don't need to go through the process of first name, sounds like this, or I
Right.
feel this type of energy. Pretty much it's like, oh, you want to speak to your father? Let me see if I can reach him. And then I think about it like the old, and I'm going to age myself here, but the old AT&T operators where they would take a cable from one, and connect the cable to the other to make the call. Um, and so I feel like that's the process for me when I'm going into that part of the channeling, because I am really bringing through the person or persons that my clients want to connect with.
Right. I mean, that's the classic organic mediumship. I know mediumship is very big here in the Boston area, probably because we're a very old
Hmm.
city. But a lot of people get trained in almost like a formulaic way of connecting in. I
Yeah.
mean, I do mediumistic work. I don't really talk about it, but it's very similar to you, where it's like if they're available and they're going to come in, you dial them up basically, and they'll pop in and right away give something that allows the client to realize that like, oh, this is authentic, this is my father, because
Yeah.
he liked Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. I had that happen
Yes,
yesterday with a
yes.
client. But yeah, so I think
Oh
that's a
my
much
gosh.
more
Yeah.
like that form of mediumistic that you do is a much more authentic, organic, and it has the whole vibratory piece where the client gets
Hmm.
they get the what we call Shakti, or the energy healing from the connection. And it's
Completely. Completely. Yeah.
fascinating. My guest today is Amy White. You can get a hold of her through her website, Amy White, WHITE.co. You can also find her on Instagram at MZ Amy White, or Facebook at Amy White Medium if you are interested in finding out more about her services and maybe booking a session with her. When we come back, we're going to discuss a lot more interesting energetic phenomena. Welcome back. My guest is Amy White, intuitive medium, channel, and truth bomb dropper. Amy, we were talking off mic about how important it is to connect through your body, especially when exploring your intuition and developing other gifts of sensitivity. Can you speak to that a little more?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that the greater consciousness has shown me over the last many years now is the idea that our body is our physical body, our physical vehicle is the biggest antenna to our inner knowing, to our intuition. And so often we are walking around the planet, we're distracted, we're not in our bodies, we're very disconnected from our bodies, even from a conditioning perspective. We're taught that our bodies aren't enough, or they're too much, or there's something wrong with our bodies. So we tend as humans to put our body, off to the side a little bit, disassociate with it, and not welcome our physical vehicle into our full um, experience. And
Yes.
so when we're talking about connecting to intuition, and this is a practice that I do and work with many of my clients around, is this idea that when you can start to come into connection with your body, you're also in that moment also coming into connection with the present moment. So you're really present when you're being in communication with your body. And then when you're in that moment, those moments of presence, then the whispers of your soul, the whispers of your inner knowing start to bubble to the surface, and we can hear them easier and easier.
Right. So get present, drop into your body, and that also helps the mind to stop its chit chat, or vritti, what we say in Sanskrit. And then,
Yeah.
and I give my clients too a process like everybody's so in their head these days. And I just say, drop down, drop down, drop down. It doesn't matter what
Hmm.
chakra. So what are some of the techniques that you work with, or what do you do to start your day to get this body sense, this present moment? What do you advise your clients in doing maybe in the beginning of the day so they can start their day that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I actually do have a morning practice that I just love, and I do it as often as I can, without the forcing or shoulding myself into doing it every day. But I do it as often as I can, and it's a really simple three-step process that I use. The first is that I take 5 to 7 deep belly breaths as soon as I start to come into conscious awareness that I'm waking up. And it's just this idea of like calling myself back, coming into consciousness, being present with the breath. I don't do any kind of mantra or any kind of ritual with it, but I could.
Yes.
Um, but I really just allow that to happen as organically as possible. And then I roll out of bed and I place my feet on the floor and I put my intention and attention on my feet. And I feel, like I really feel the connection to the floor. And to me, that feels like a pin drop. If you think about dropping a pin on a digital map, right, it's this idea that it's like, I am here. And I just sit for a few moments in this until I really feel connected. So now my breath has been, invited me to come back into my body, and now my feet connected to the floor has invited me to come back into my body. And then just before I sort of launch into my day, I set an intention. And the intention isn't for something that I want to have happen that day, but more something that I'd like the day to feel. I'd like to feel as part of that day. And that, again, helps to create the momentum of this awareness of being in my body and the physical sensation that I'm looking for, whether it's physical or emotional, but we feel it physically, and that intention for the day. And I will tell you that it's a practice, but now when I find that I'm walking around and I'm a little disconnected from my body because I've got a lot of things going on in my life, it's very easy to be like, whoop, breath, feet, intention, or reclaim or remember that intention. And then in a few minutes, I'm back. I'm back in my body. I'm back in that deeper connection, connected to my inner being, but also connected to my inner truth, right? My inner knowing. It's really powerful.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that and sharing that practice. I'm hoping all our listeners will think about applying that advice and get connected and get into the body because that's where it all happens, right? And get out of
It
judgment
is.
and get out of critical thinking to yourself or
Yeah.
others and just be in the now in your body. Great advice, Amy. Thank you for sharing. We were
Yeah, you're
talking,
welcome.
yeah, that was great. We were talking about kind of going out with a little treat for my listeners where you were going to give an example of your channeling and maybe have some insights for the rest of 2021 that you can share. Would you be open to
Yeah,
doing that?
absolutely.
Okay, great.
I would absolutely be open to doing it. And I would say, please interrupt me when I've reached time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because
We'll
once
get,
I'm in channel, yeah, I'm also setting the intention that they'll, bring through a few quick things and then we can, honor your time as well.
well,
So.
time flies when you're in the higher dimensions and you're having fun on the
Mhm.
airwaves, right? And that's what we do here.
That is,
And
that
I
is
think we have
true.
transcended linear time in our show today. That's why we're
Mhm.
coming up to time. But no, we have about 5+ minutes or so to share with our guests some interesting information. And I'll probably give you a little heads up so we can come to a full thought and come to a completion of the process. So whenever you're
Thank you.
ready,
Thank
Amy,
you.
we'd love to hear
I
what.
am ready. Yeah.
Okay, let's hit it.
All right. So the thing that the greater consciousness wants to bring through for your audience, and they're really putting an exclamation point on this, is to not lose faith in the process that has been going on. And so what they're saying is they're really speaking almost like individually to each and every one of the audience members. It's
Yes.
like, don't lose faith in the momentum that you've already started, whether the outward appearance, looks like it's going to be bumpy or smooth or somewhere in between. to keep your eye on the prize, because the energy of this eclipse that just happened here over the last few days has laid the groundwork for more and more and more creative energy, creating the spaces that we want, creating the dreams that we want, allowing the dreams that we want. And what they're saying is that it's so important to keep, as I said, keep your eye on the prize, keep the mindset that what you're putting forward, you are moving towards, no matter what is happening around you. And they want me to just say that they're not portending that there's some big shakeup that's happening between now and the end of the year, but that it's any time in the history of us, of our lives, of those here on the planet right now, where we have the most key components to not just realize and manifest our dreams, but to dream bigger, to create bigger, to come into bigger community, bigger alignment, bigger understanding of our purpose and why we're here. This time now is it. It is the time to really lean into all of it and to keep moving forward. Big, big, big momentum here on the planet and for each one individually.
What a very empowering message from Greater Consciousness through Amy White. Thank you, Amy. That was great. Anything you want to share in closing?
Just that. I'm sorry because I'm just coming out of a channel here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It takes me a second sometimes. But no, just that. One of the reasons why we spoke about how to connect into our intuition, our inner knowing today with your audience is because that invitation to deepen the connection with the who we each are and start to really listen to our truth as the capital T truth and less about what is being given to us or told to us or shared with us, that's where we're going from a human soul evolutionary perspective. And that's part of this whole momentum that the greater consciousness was just speaking about. It's really this juicy, magical time for us to all be on the planet.
So let's all get excited and get ready and receive it. My guest today has been Amy White, intuitive medium and channel, and you can reach her at amywhite.co. Thank you so much, Amy. This was a great show. You shared so much insightful and healing information. We're so happy to have you as a guest on Cosmic Scene today.
Thank you. Such an honor and a privilege to be here.
Thank you, Amy. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Cosmic Scene with my guest, Amy White, intuitive medium, channel, and truth bomb dropper. Remember to subscribe, download, share, and give us a 5-star review for this episode and all episodes of Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. This is Cosmic Scene, signing out, sending you healing vibrations through the quantum field.